Welcome to another edition of Anything is Possible. I'm Halloran Hilton Hill, and we're here at the studio with more great stories about great people who prove with their lives that anything is possible. You know, in business, if you find a way to help people, you normally will do great business. Randy Boyd, the CEO and founder of PetSafe, has found a way to do that. He's got an incredible story. You're going to meet him right now. Come on in. It's Anything is Possible. Hey, Randy. How are you?
Thanks for having me.
And my guest today is Randy Boyd, the CEO and founder of PetSafe. Randy, welcome to the broadcast.
Thanks for having me.
I didn't know you were born and raised in Knoxville, born at Baptist Hospital.
Yep.
What was it like growing up here?
Born here, I went to Doyle High School and then on to UT, and it's been a great place to grow up. I love it here. I was in Boy Scouts as a youth, and so having the mountains and all the great resources that we have here has always made it. It's just a great place to grow up.
When we were preparing to come on the air, we were having a conversation about the beginnings of your life, and we were talking about you putting yourself through college. I have the same experience. But what stuck out to me was the fact that you said you graduated from college at 19. How does that happen? Were you just super smart? When did you start college?
No, I think if people that know me today would probably attest to this, that I wouldn't say necessarily intelligent, but very impatient. I'm also cheap. So my dad gave me the opportunity to work when I was very young. He let me work in his factory at 8 years old. I think it was legal because he was paying me out of his pocket, but I got paid $1 an hour, which was big money when you're 8 years old. And as I went through high school, then into college, I got to work in injection molding machines 24 hours every weekend. But when I went to college, I actually graduated high school in 3 years, so I went to college started at age 16. And I remember going to sign up for my classes, and it was $176 a quarter, and they said, well, for your $176, you can get 14 hours as a minimum, or you can get up to 22 hours. I said, I can get 22 hours for the same price as 14? Well, sign me up for as many as I can get. So when you're paying your own way through, you want to get as many credits as you can for that $176. So it was more being cheap than being smart.
And I guess it was driven by that process or work ethic that stands behind you, because you said your father let you work in his factory from the time of 8 and working on injection molding machines 24 hours on the weekend. Tell me about your dad and tell me about his business.
Okay, so I take a little bit of pride in being able to say that my dad actually didn't give me money to help start my business, but I think he gave me so much more. He gave me first the opportunity to learn about business, working in his factory and working for him.
What kind of factory was this?
He had a company called Fleischock, which made electric fencing for cattle and horses.
Wow.
So I grew up doing that. But he always said he set such a great example. If anybody that knows my father knows that he's he's an entrepreneur's entrepreneur. He's just one of those guys that's bigger than life.
Is he still alive?
Yes, he is.
Wow.
He sold his business 4 years ago, and I'm incredibly proud of him. He's 71 years old, and he just started his own another startup about 2 years ago. Now he's in the biotech business. So a 71-year-old guy with a biotech business, and he's as energetic and as eager as any 21-year-old kid you might meet.
You have brothers and sisters?
2 sisters.
2 sisters.
Yep.
So was in the men of the house was you and your dad.
That's right.
You said you were taking a trip together. Did you guys spend a lot of time together?
Not so much when I was young. When I was growing up, Dad was always traveling and working. So we got to know each other much more so probably after I got out of school and went to work for him.
What did you learn from your father? Because my father taught me so much. He didn't say much, but he taught me so much just by the way he did life, right? So you're working in his factory. It seems to me that if you're working in the factory, this was not going to be a silver spoon experience. You're going to work. You're going to develop the ethic. You're going to understand the business. And I would imagine that informs a lot of the way you do business now. We kind of get that DNA etched in us. What did you learn from your dad? What were your takeaways? What are some of those core principles that you kind of live and operate by that you can link back directly to? And what's his first name?
Tom.
Tom Boyd.
I think there's probably two things that I learned from those experiences. One was indirect, and that was just working on the factory floor. I realized that everybody's important, and everybody's got a key role to play in the organization. Working side by side on the assembly line, putting things together, you build a camaraderie with all the people in the company. And so I think in the company I have today, we have that kind of culture. There's not a hierarchy. It's a very flat, egalitarian organization, and I think that maybe came from that experiences working for him. And then second, my dad had his company for over 30 years before he sold it. And as you could imagine, any company will have its ups and downs. And I think through that, I got to see him go through a lot of challenges. So in my early years with my companies, then particularly with radio systems in the first couple of years, we had some pretty tough challenges early on. But even in my worst day, I could reflect back on days that my dad had and realize that, hey, he's already been there, done that. And if Dad can survive it, I can too. And I learned that if you don't want to quit, nobody can actually make you quit. Now, I remember a few times when Dad's company was actually had to file Chapter 11. And if you'd look at the financial situation, you would have thought, well, how can we keep going on? But I learned that if you don't want to stop, nobody can physically make you stop. So at some point, you decide, I can't take it anymore, and you quit. But if you don't want to, nobody can make you. And so I learned that from my dad.
Let's take a break. When we come back, you said that in the early days of radio systems and PetSafe, when you started those companies, it was a real grind. And now a very successful company, PetSafe is. I want to talk about getting through the grind.
Okay.
My guest is Randy Boyd. You're watching Anything is Possible. We're about to prove it. We'll be back.